Hello, my name is Dr. Chris Brown. I'm the founding dean of the College of Humanities and Social Sciences. Welcome to HSS Insights, a series of conversation with faculty showcasing unique research and work focused on creativity, innovation, public service, and addressing social issues. Today I'm joined by Nick Wayne, a professor in the Department of Performing Arts. Professor Wayne is the musical director for Minnesota State University Mankato's Theater and Dance Program and also Highland Summer Theater. Today, we are talking about what goes into making a musical from start to finish. Nick, can you tell us about the process of making a musical?
It all begins with our initial concept meeting. It begins with the team, and that includes the director, the musical director, the scene designer, the costume designer, the lighting designer, the choreographer, the stage manager. There's a group of us around the table, and we all just kind of take our turn and share what we know about the material up to that point. There's about a 3-week period between casting of Anastasia and the first rehearsal. You will have the director, the musical director, the costumer, and the choreographer. All of those folks will have strong needs that they're looking for the story. And in that amount of time, I start to work individually with all the leads. So they come into my studio and we work on the material. I start teaching them the music. Then we get to the first large rehearsal. The first week is just me and the singers. What control I have affecting the overall musicality is a little bit specific because it's how I feel it should be, but another music director might throw all that out and do their own thing. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. So that's what's kind of fun about the sort of artistic shaping that I get to do after we push through all the hard stuff. But then suddenly, exponentially, it just gets better and better and better. And then the students really start to have fun with it because they feel and see and hear their progress every night. In the meantime, all the music has been sent to our orchestra, which is comprised of faculty members, students, local professionals. They've had that music now for about a month and have been learning the notes and rhythms on their own. We gather together and we play through the score. From that point on, we are running the show all the way through every single night with all of the technical elements added in. And they get added in gradually over that week. Lights, costumes, makeup. All of that then suddenly has to be coordinated together. Then we open.
Professor Wayne, can you tell us about where your interest in musical theater began?
So it's a whole thing with people that work in the arts, I think. Something happens when you're young. Yeah. You see something, you hear something, you experience something, and it changes your life. The first musical that I remember ever seeing, I saw a production of Rodgers and Hammerstein's The King and I loved it. I have to say my grandmother recognized that, oh, he kind of likes this thing. And she was an usher at that theater. She started taking me to stuff. Just because she saw that, oh, he kind of likes this, something Grandma and Nick can go to together. I was always interested in music. I studied violin for a number of years, and then I started to get into singing. And I remember spending most of the time during the show leaning over and looking into the orchestra pit. And then it hit me, oh, wait, they need a musician to teach people. From that point on, I just remember thinking, oh, I could do that. 2, 3, 1. I studied privately for many years and many summers at the MacPhail Center for the Arts in Minneapolis. So my undergrad, studying privately at the MacPhail Center, then going on to graduate school. I just kept telling everybody that I worked with, I like musical theater, I want to do music. I took conducting classes, and then I ended up here. Any genre of music is something I can't live without. Whether you're a dancer, or you're a painter, or you're a designer, right? Pick your artistic expression. People who do that and do it for a career have no other choice because you just have to. For me, it's always about the score, the music. The great thing about our program is we do so many productions. Our students get more opportunity to work their craft in the space. The only way to get good at theater is to do theater.
That's right.
You can read all the theory, you can take all the history classes, but until you're standing on this space, that's where you get good.
That's all right.
And that's the blessing of our department. We just have so many opportunities for students to leave here and get work because they know how to do the things.
That's right.
For me, one of the biggest things is disciplining the actors so that they take care of themselves and they don't blow out their voices, because it's also, one of those shows, it's a rock show, so the urge is to really lay into every song and make it a huge, big moment, but you just can't do that. At the end of the day, those of us in theater, in music, in dance, in the arts are storytellers, and we have a need to help tell stories that educate, that entertain, that generate empathy. When you then infuse that storytelling with music, which breaks through bias and prejudice and all sorts of barriers, when those two things intersect, it's a very powerful thing. And I think that's the greatest triumph of Rent, is that it breaks through to everyone in the audience. They're frozen because they're so shocked and moved by what they have heard our students do. And that's a testament to the discipline of the actors. They are inhabiting these characters who are all based on real people.
Well, thank you for sharing. This is wonderful.
In a typical lesson, I try to spend a third of the time, so in a half-hour lesson, about 10 minutes, just vocalizing, getting the blood flow to the voice and getting it flexible so we can get through the various maneuvers of the piece. Ready, and... Lots of discoveries where the character has to sing in a way and sort of trick the audience into thinking this is the first time this character has ever said these things or discovered these things.
Okay.
A really good example of what has to happen in musical theater. At the end of this song, this character has made a life-changing decision, and that's what gets us to the next plot point in the play, in the musical. I try to create an environment in this studio where the students feel safe to take risks with their voice, with the thing that they're vulnerable about, and learn, first of all, that it's okay to make mistakes, it's okay to forget words, it's okay for the voice to crack. These are all things that are horrifying to a singer, right? And every single one of those things has happened to me many times in front of people. It haunts us because we, of course, want to be perfect.
Right.
But it's not a realistic goal. But what I do think is realistic is finding a way to trust yourself, to trust your teacher, to take risks, and to figure out a way to perform in a consistent manner.
That's great. How has Professor Wayne helped you and influenced you in terms of your own development as a singer who was already a dancer?
I think something that's really special about having Nick as a teacher is how he's able to adapt to get things across to different people. He's able to flip things from music into dance for me. And that helps me when I am teaching actors or theater people. I flip it for them too in reverse.
He's so compassionate and so understanding and will take any singer and just find a way to highlight their strengths.
He has just made me feel so much better about any choice I make and encouraged me that there is no wrong choices.
He's gotten me so comfortable and trusting myself and not to doubt myself. And it's translated not in just singing, but to other areas of my performance and just in life.
So, I really want to thank you, Michaela, for participating and telling your story about how you and Nick work together. I really appreciate it. So, Professor Wayne, let's go to the theater and see more preparations.
Let's do it. Thanks, Dean Brown. There's a lot going on tonight. What you see is a rehearsal that is known as a Sitzprobe.
Sitzprobe.
Yes, it's a tradition that exists in all types of opera and now musical theater. And it's the first night that two different entities come together. We have our cast of singers and then our live orchestra.
Okay.
Up until this point, they've rehearsed separate from one another. The cast has only rehearsed with that piano right there, and the group of people in the blue chairs have only rehearsed with me. So I've rehearsed these two groups separately, and tonight's the first night they get to actually perform together. They're going to hear the score fully orchestrated. So there are logistics involved now because soloists and chorus, just working with a piano, are tuning to a piano. Now tonight, they might learn that, oh, I guess my cue note comes from a trumpet now. Or, oh, I gotta listen to that oboe. And that's where they're getting their pitch from. And it's a night where we can, in isolation, figure that out. The orchestra does make it easier because, you know, they've listened to the cast recording and things like that, so they have a sense of what it's all going to sound like. But the energy that they're gonna get from this group of musicians is really inspiring to them, and that'll hopefully evoke a bigger sound from everybody.
I see. Yeah, so this is where everything comes together.
Yeah, it's all coming together, and it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of fun work. There's a wonderful, really cool train sequence, and there's a train car that's gonna come on.
Oh, wow.
And it works in synchrony with the projections. It's being developed right now. Do you want to check it out? See what it looks like? Okay.
Yeah, I'm
so
curious.
it's back this way. This is the train that we've been talking about, and it's in development right now, as you can see. But this was designed by John Paul, our set designer. It's not finished yet, John. We know there's more to it than this, but this thing is on big casters. See, I can move it easily with one hand, even though it's quite heavy. And we have 10 cast members on this.
Okay.
And what's cool about it is in the scene that it's used, it rolls on and it first faces directly downstage, and in perfect synchrony, there's digital projections that show the countryside zooming by. It's really cool. Our technical director, James Van Oort, he builds them, John designs them, and James builds them along with a team of students and graduate students. It's faculty and students all working together on this out of nothing. You know, all we got to start is a script and some notes, and then we throw our imaginations at it.
Professor Wayne has just given us this exciting look into the theatrical production and the various elements that are on stage. But now he's about to engage in rehearsal.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So briefly, what's going to happen here now?
Well, we're going to run every song in the show, Chris.
Okay.
We're going to start with the overture and just kind of go through song by song and let this awesome group of students and local professionals, make music together.
Do you need me to sit in?
I would. Yes. What did you bring?
My recorder.
That's fine.
right.
I'll have a chair brought in. Hunter, I need a chair for the dean, please. Thank you.
All right.
We'll get you set up.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Wayne, for giving us insight into your creative process and what goes into producing a musical. If you're interested in learning more about Professor Wayne and his work in theater and dance, visit msutheater.com. For more information on our faculty research series and to view more episodes, visit hss.mnsu.edu/insights. Thank you.